Shilpa, please zoda Talia for the lovely, lovely panelists that I have. I welcome you all. So looking forward.
Thank you so much for the glowing introductions. Hi, my name is Shilpi, and I'm from Mumbai, and I have a prized cluster of individuals here who are experts in their own right from different areas of wellness, health, and beauty care. Food is something which is intrinsic to Indian culture, and it forms the heartbeat of every home. It's a changed world now, and there is a changed and a shifting definition of the strategy we employ towards food. There is a barrage of social media influencers pretending to be experts in the fields of wellness. We are eating collagen gummies, and we are feasting on food apps. And this is the right time to spotlight a timely discussion on food and what it means for health, overall fitness, and wellness. So let me start with Monique and Lourdes. How can we implement the fundamental units of functional nutrition in our daily diet?
Okay, so I think it's maybe a good idea to explain what functional nutrition is. So functional actually means, quite literally, we try to optimize the function of all the different systems in our body. And we do that not by just addressing symptoms, but by actually going down to the root causes and making sure that we figure out what's going on under the hood and try to address it the best way possible and in as personalized a fashion as possible as well. So what does that look like? It means that, I guess, you don't want to just take everyone's word for it. You want to really find out what works for you. And social media, as you well mentioned, is well known for a lot of people out there sharing their own opinions, and they may not be the right ones for you. So it's about figuring out what it is that makes your body hum at its best. Yeah.
So Ayurveda brings in a term called prajna aparat. That means our body begins to give us signals that there's something amiss within our body, and we tend to ignore that given our pressure cooker urban lifestyles. And we wait till those signals grow into something bigger, into a disease. And that is where preventive and corrective care comes in through the healing therapy that the food we eat can yield. Don't you agree, Lourdes?
I fully agree. And the thing is, very often we are too disconnected from our bodies. That's why through yoga, through meditation, we start connecting to ourselves. When our body starts sending signals, instead of waiting till actually a disease develops, we are able to identify something is going on so we can correct it. And I like a lot to work on prevention more than correction, right? So for prevention, besides foods that can be, high vibrational foods, what I call high vibrational foods, that are foods that are not processed, that are fresh, that, that are clean eating. Okay, besides that, also, I love as a preventive measure, and one of my favorite biohacks is fasting as well. So it's not only about food, it's also to know when to stop to eat food. When I explain it, it's like when we bring our car for servicing, right? The car operates well, but we still bring it for servicing. So the same thing with our body. Even if our body is fine, if we allow our body for, certain days to be with very clean water, lemon in the water, etc., there is a technique for that. So we allow our body to enter in a process of what is called ketosis, that our body starts burning certain toxins that then eventually they produce disease. So for me, it's a balance between what we eat, but also what we don't eat, to create that balance in our life. That sometimes we need a bit of fasting. Personally, I do it twice per year. Doesn't need to be too long. I do 10 days because I have a lot of practice, but 2-3 days already helps in the process.
Which which brings me to the word balance, as you rightly said. Everybody loves a compliment. Everybody loves to look good. So when we talk of only inner beauty, it doesn't mean that we are losing the focus on external beauty, on how our charisma builds up, what are the components of our aura, and very importantly, what is the skin food that we are feeding in the building of the beauty molecules. So Manasi, you have your own line of amazing beauty care products, sourcing ingredients in their pure, organic, untouched form directly from the forests in the Himalayan region. Mana by Manasi. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how important is this pattern of consumption in contributing towards the overall wellness.
Fantastic question, really. So beauty molecules, when you talk about it, it's a superset and it's got a lot of technical explanations to it. But the way that we're discussing it, firstly, fasting is the easiest way to actually clean up the inner health. Definitely knowing what kind of foods to eat. I have actually a folder on my phone which is called Foods That Harm and Foods That Heal. I'm a product of 2 doctors, 2 super specialists. My father was a pediatric surgeon and a war surgeon. My mother is still the director of Pune Hospital. But since I lost him in 2018, which is where Mana by Manasi started to form in my brain, I haven't even taken a Disprin for a painkiller. Like nothing. We heal everything naturally. So I'm an army brat, traveled everywhere. I've grown up in the Himalayas, in the mountains, and 2 years in Bhutan, which is where where you learn to work with rose hip and sea buckthorn and lemon and lavender. And all the products of Mana by Manasi are not grown. We actually pluck them from the wild. There are villages that I'm supporting up north. Sea buckthorn from my childhood came back into my life during pregnancy, and I don't have a single stretch mark. So a lot of these, it's a great massage. Apricot is my son's knee injury. He didn't take a painkiller. After a 7-hour operation, we only did apricot massages for him. Lavender, as everybody knows, is the best thing to sleep, to bathe with. So I'm working, and all my products are ghee-based. So I'm in menopause, and I have alopecia, and this is my sea buckthorn in 1 year.
Hear that, women?
So as you were saying, inner health, of course, is very, very crucial. But I think having a relationship with your skin and your hair externally, wo champi hota tha na massage, any product would actually work. Of course, a lot of research has gone into mine. But when you talk about the beauty molecules, what I'm trying to tell people to go back to is having a relationship with their skin and their hair, and trying to give them products. Bathing is one of the best times that you spend with your skin. So I have soaps, I have oils, and I have creams. And the idea is just to get people back to nurturing their skin. The human body is a 100% regenerative system. All your cuts heal, your bones, when they break, can unite at a frequency. So slowly and steadily, I hope with Mana by Manasi, I can keep reminding people to nurture their skin and their hair and go back to talking to skin, massaging it, having a long bath, and basically, doing all your spa therapies at home with yourself.
So it's a question of revisiting your own existing relationship with food, and with the growing worldwide shift towards the vegetarian kingdom, clean eating has become an anthem, with everybody wanting to, and rightfully so, trying to bring in what is local, fresh, seasonal. And the focus is on micro-regional nutrients on the palate. So I wanted to ask you, Sonal, because you're heading and rather powering as a creative heart behind the Santé Spa Cuisine, how do you see this element of vegetarianism? Do you think it's a trend that's not going to last for long, or do you see this as a way of life that everybody is embracing for better overall wellness?
100% vegetarianism is a way ahead. Clean eating, healthy eating is a way ahead. Initially, no, we didn't have many educators. Now, since social media is huge, there's so many educators, so many nutritionists, so many doctors speaking about clean eating. So people are educated, they are aware, and they know exactly what to eat. Now, coming back to what is clean eating, I feel eating food in its most natural way, in its natural form, without processing, is the clean eating for me. So what we at Santé do is we don't use anything whites, any processed things, no white sugar, no refined salts, no refined oils, nothing, no refined butters, cheese. We use simple makhan instead of butter. So we have just swapped everything which is processed to the natural form of food. And I feel vegetarianism is too pure, too clean, because each grain, each vegetable, each ingredient in vegetarianism has its own flavor. When you talk about chicken, mutton, fish, or whatever, they don't have flavor to themselves. You just add masala, butter, cream, cheese, whatever to it and enhance its flavor. But vegetarianism has its own flavor, so I feel it has its natural form, and eating them in a natural form really heals your body. So it says that what you eat is what you are. When you eat clean, you are clean from your soul as well. That's what
Absolutely, you are an index of what you eat. You are what you eat, which also brings me to the point and the question of intuitive eating, because during the course of the pandemic, compulsive eating became a way of life. And that part, eating plus activity equals eativity. People were simply eating to shoot reels and put production content, to push out content. Can you throw some light on the power of intuitive eating in the 360-degree development of, the gut-brain axis and the development of the healthy gut flora that we have?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. Yeah. There's a lot of elements to that, yeah. Okay, so intuitive eating, I think it's become really hard because of all the noise. You're very right? We hear, there's so much information, not just on social media, but you speak to friends and everybody has an opinion, right? You should be doing this, you should be doing that, and then you want to try it because that person is suddenly doing great and looking great, and you want to see like, oh, is this working for me? So how do you really tap into that place where you sense whether something is right for you or not? And I think that has to do not so much with eating, but being in touch with your body and in touch with yourself. And then come in the practices of mindfulness and yoga and meditation and breathing and anything that grounds you and brings you to a place to where you can actually listen and hear the signals. So I think more so than giving you advice on, okay, technically how are you going to do this, I would suggest that everybody should start tapping into their, deepest self. Yeah.
What's the best piece of food advice that you can give everybody, Lourdes, based on your over close to 2 decades of experience and expertise?
I'm trying to think about things that are more into the Indian, into the Indian subcontinent. I tell you, one of the things that is a supplement, actually is not like a food, that I love, and it cleanses also the aura, Shilajit. And also for women, towards the years of osteoporosis, risk of osteoporosis, etc. For me, it's one of the things that I like to have as a supplement sometimes. Another one that I love to cleanse also and have good energy, Tulsi tea, and saffron tea as well. For me, are super cleansing and they really help in your aura cleansing, But when it comes to foods, anything that is antioxidant, all the natural products that have omega-3, for instance, for me, omega-3, I find it also very important for my brain, everything that contains DHA, But there are so many, because food is medicine when we use it well. Mother Nature is so tremendously generous with us that when we actually use it well, we heal and we don't get sick naturally. Yeah.
Manasi, as a singer, you belong to the field of glamour. And by virtue of being in front of the camera, there is a lot of message that goes out to people out there. People are replacing food with protein shakes. People are depending heavily on supplements. Protein is the new Prada. So what is that word of advice that you can give everybody on what not to do?
So Shilpi, this is interesting, and you know my story as well. And I was just, during lockdown, I decided to actually start even making things like tomato ketchup from scratch in the house. Like everything, I moved away from packeted food. And water and breath, prana. I keep trying to tell people to cook with water, especially vegetables. it's a very simple practice rather than, put a lot of oil into it. It changes the way vegetable food is cooked, vegetables are cooked. When you start cooking yourself, I keep telling people to try getting into the kitchen a bit more, start having a relationship with the food, chopping that food, so these are 2-3 practices I do follow. I am vegetarian, I've been since I was 12. My son is a non-vegetarian, so I cook it, I don't. But as a practice, I just tell people to honor food. It makes a huge difference to actually thank your water, thank your food. People think these are silly things, but it completely changes the way you appear on camera. It changes the way that food is, there's a thank you prayer that you say. You thank the vegetable, you thank your cook, you thank the people that you're eating with, you thank, because food brings you in together, being mindful, being in the present. So I keep the same message actually. I tell people to develop a relationship with the actual process of cutting, chopping, cooking. Work with water and with food more. It really transforms you on camera. And just live in gratitude and thank the nourishment that Mother Earth is giving to your system. And I do this as a practice in almost all my shows, now you know that. So all we can do is talk to people, because rightly, as Monique said, everybody's become a online doctor, an online consultant, and people don't listen. But I think one of the biggest ways that I've developed a relationship with my audiences is to be respected enough to be heard and to listen to them as well. So conversations and food and mindful eating and being with people that love food and learning how to cook it different ways, I can go on and on.
So our blood vessels aren't muscles. And in this entire race, people are overtaxing their bodies, going on insane diets, pushing themselves in sleep-starved states to do power yoga, Pilates and whatnot. Is it really fair at the end of the day? And do you feel that the shift towards the vegetarian kingdom is helping people to anchor themselves more in terms of their well-being?
Okay, so the vegetarian part or just
Both. I wanted Sonal to address the vegetarian angle.
Yeah.
I mean, do you observe that happening now?
Yeah, 100%. The shift I'm seeing, because when we started Santé, it's a health food restaurant, so a lot of youngsters used to not come. It was only people who were in mid-40s and mid-50s and above. They were my highest targeted customer. But nowadays I see a lot of young people celebrating their birthday. And a lot of small kids, they tell their parents that we want to go to Santé. And when people booze out, drink, they are all out, and the next day they want to come and detox at Santé. So I see that shift happening. I see that shift of vegetarianism happening. So we have a lot of Punjabis, Sindhis who are totally non-vegetarian, but they say when we come to Santé, clean eating, vegetarian eating feels like, wow, we don't miss our non-vegetarian. That's the biggest shift I see.
Yeah, so I'd like to add a little bit to that. I think it's not a question of overhauling your diet. And so when I work with clients, I don't do that. I don't give any meal plans. I don't tell them what to eat. I don't give them any, restrictive diets. I look at what it is that they love and the things that they're doing and try to teach them to upgrade, right? And that may mean adding more plant foods. Doesn't necessarily mean having to go vegetarian, but it could mean just adding in more of these really whole, clean foods that help crowd out some of the bad ones. Yeah, so that's one. Protein intake, I know you mentioned it, people are going absolutely crazy over it, but there's some truth to the fact that a lot of people are under eating protein, especially women who are going into their premenopausal and menopausal stage. They do need protein as you get older. So it's all about what can you do to upgrade what you're already doing rather than to drastically change, make it pleasant, right? Make it into something that you can actually enjoy for the rest of your life rather than it being a complete headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I also feel is people are listening about just protein. They forget that fiber is equally important, good fat is equally important. They forget about all nutrients and they just focus on protein. That is also not right. And when we see that people are eating protein, they are still sick because they are very deficient about their B12, other minerals. There's no good fat, there's no shine on their skin, hair, just because they don't know to balance. So I feel balancing your food, balancing your plate is more important than just listening to something and following it blindly. That's not the right way.
I think Monique used the key word here, being happy when you're eating, what you're eating.
Absolutely.
Because yes, and that is when the actual nutrients find their place.
Look at us, shiny happy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
When you love yourself, you listen to your body.
Meditation forms an important component of this aspect. When we talk of diet, we talk of the overall consumption, not just the food pattern. And Shank Nad is something
Nad.
that you have been practicing, I know that.
So it's So this is the Gauri This is the Gauri Shank. It's beautiful. My wonderful friend Vidyut Jamwal, you know him. He's one of the fittest people in the world. Cardiovascular coherence. Okay, so we'll come down to a couple of things. One easy thing that I also tell, when I'm talking about food, start with 2 whole bowls of vegetable, 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight, and if you're working out too, it's a simple rule. And the minute you start with vegetables, that meal, that mindfulness, that joy, that it changes with how you see it. Okay, back to Shanknath. So this also, meditation, I do the 8 spiritual breaths. It's an ancient Tibetan practice which has come back into India, and they are phenomenal. It's the holy trinity of breath work because it's got a positive affirmation, a physical movement, and breaths that you have to inhale and exhale It has been so healing. That practice every day, even if you miss it a couple of days, you'll find the body changing. I have a 19-year-old son, I'm 48. I don't feel it, I'm the youngest I've ever been. That also changed my relationship with food because I was also making homemade ice cream and eating a kg of ice cream every day during lockdown. So getting back into meditation. And then this goes even beyond that. The Shanknath is cardiovascular coherence. When you can blow it, there are days you won't. When you can blow it, you just know intrinsically the chakras are aligned completely. And that's a brilliant practice. I've been telling how I keep trying to teach people. I do this. I work with the solfeggio frequencies. I work with healing frequencies. I work with sound healing. So
It's really about grounding, isn't it? It's about connecting to the present moment.
walking bare feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That time is really important, that you distill some time during the course of the day where you can listen to the sound of your own heartbeat. That's called staying rooted, connecting with your own self in the urban pressure cooker environments. So I'd like to draw this discussion to a close with just one element of addition from you, Monique. In this day
My favorite
and time,
topic, I think.
We've had unfortunate blasts in Delhi. There's a rising amount of anxiety in the air. The season is changing. What is it that you can share as a takeaway with all our audience sitting over here? What is it that you recommend perhaps that they take as their first ingestion, the first thing they eat in the morning? There is so much of confusion. Everybody has a different piece of advice to offer. What is it that you can eat to center yourself better? Each one of you, if we can have that input.
I would have loved to have talked about the microbiome and the gut-brain exit. Okay, because when you talk about anxiety, we think it's all happening up here, right? But at the end of the day, there's this big connection between the gut and the brain, the gut-brain axis, as they call it. Yeah, exactly. And just a little tidbit of information which may be interesting for everybody listening is that the most exciting research on this particular topic has come from animal research, where they've actually taken the gut microbes of one mouse, transferred it into another mouse, and by that were able to completely change their behavior. So that tells us, right, that the gut and the microbes that live there play an essential role in our mental health and well-being, and is basically able to influence our behavior, our stress mechanism, our anxiety, our depression. So if you ask me what it is that you need to do in order to look after your mental well-being, besides, what we already talked about, the mindfulness, the meditation, the breathing practices, you really want to nurture the gut microbiome, right? And I'm coming back to vegetarianism and veganism. What we also know from the research is that the best way to do that is to eat a plant. I'm not going to call it a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet, a plant-forward diet. A diverse range of wide variety of plant foods is what's going to nurture these microbes back to health. So that's my little tidbit.
I would say stop packeted foods completely. Start, making everything on your own. And there is a forgotten art this generation is not seeing. Dance has been lost as a culture. It is one of the most incredible things you can do. Sing more, dance more. If you don't want to sit and meditate, 15 minutes of conscious breathing will give you hallucinations. Our body produces a chemical called DMT when we're born and when we die. It comes into your system like that in 15 minutes of breathing. Dance more. Dance more as a community.
Sonal,
Sing songs.
Quickly.
Okay, quickly. So I am just adding to them. I actually follow what they do. The only thing is gut is our second brain. So I practice 3 things. I at times have psyllium husk at night with a lot of water to cleanse my system because colon cleansing is very, very important. And on every Sundays as a ritual, I have castor oil with hot water and a little bit of cinnamon. And on that day, I'm just on khichdi diet to keep my gut very healthy.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
I'm going to try to be very fast. I'm going to talk about more what can we avoid that keeps our mental health in the right place. Because diet is not only what we consume with food. If we are eating healthy but we are drinking alcohol, for the aura, for your energy, it really drops you down. If we are having friends that are sucking our energy, like if we are watching all the time violent news, so what we consume is also what we watch, what type of movies, what type of music we hear to, what type of ambient environments we hang in. If everyone is in criticizing mode, gossiping mode, you think that is good energy? It's not. So our diet is not only what we consume, it's also how we look after ourselves in the world.
That's fantastic, and I'd just like to conclude by adding, shape your own unique, healthy ecosystem, and remember to be kind to yourself. Stop chasing perfectionism.
And to others, yeah.
And I'd like Manasi to end this
knew
session
it.
with a sense of flourish.
नाच ले ए दिल झूम के नाच ले हर गम भूल के वो नाच ले ए दिल झूम के नाच ले हर गम भूल के
Dance.
Shukriya. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank
for being such a patient audience, and I hope there were some tangible takeaways for everybody. It was lovely having you here. Thank you.
Please be here, please be here. What a wonderful and insightful session. Ek baar zordar taaliya. A culinary vote of thanks presented by Sonali ma'am to each one of you. Beauty and fitness absolutely redefined. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for doing this. Please come forward, please come forward. One step forward, everybody, please.